Coming up, I'm going to give you 2 reasons why workers are leaving high-paying jobs. And then thought leader Malcolm Gladwell is really frustrated about remote work. And I'm going to coach you up. Let's go. Helping you get the competitive edge to win in your work and in your life. That's more income and more impact. I'm Ken. Welcome. All right. People are leaving high-paying jobs. What? Huh? Some of you are shocked by this statement. You shouldn't be. I was up early this morning. Very early. 4:15, the alarm went off. I came into the office and was on Fox and Friends, and they were asking me about that the new report out, 26% of Americans who changed jobs in the last 2 years regret doing so. 48% said the job they took was not what they expected. And what was the reason why most people left that are experiencing that regret, that are experiencing, a little buyer's remorse maybe? It's not what I thought it was going to be. Well, there's no question that money was involved, but also they didn't feel valued. That's going to be a big theme in today's show. You're going to see this pop up over and over. Why? Because I am a man of the people. Of the people, by the people, for the people. That's me. Because this has got to be front and center for you as you live your life and are intentional in trying to win at work. Now, here's the context. 4.2 million people in July of 2022 left. So we're seeing, again, a constant trend. This is a 12-month trend. You've heard me talk about it over and over. This is unbelievable. It is a tidal wave of over 50 million people over the last 12 months have left their jobs. It ain't working, leaders. And I'm going to tell you workers out there, the people who I love, if you leave just for a paycheck, it's not enough. And there are 2 reasons why people are leaving high-paying jobs. Number 1 is burnout. Emotional, mental, and physical taxation. That's what it amounts to. A unhealthy culture in the form of toxic teammates, which are enabled or certainly ignored by horrible bossery. That is a phrase, if you're new to the show, I created. It just means terrible leadership. And I'm going to tell you something. When you are in an environment where you are not valued, whether intentionally or unintentionally, it is like a tax of your soul. That company is taking from your soul. And I am not being dramatic today. That's what burnout is. Burnout is a symptom, not a source. If I go to the doctor and I say to the doctor, my knee hurts, he's not going to look at me and go, well, you're right. You can go home now because you've already self-diagnosed. You have hurt knee. The doctor's not going to say that. The doctor's going to go, okay, where does it hurt? When does it hurt? Stay with me. How does it hurt? And so as we look at burnout, that's what's going on with you and your coworkers and your friends and your family members. There is a taxation of your soul, and it has a mental health effect. It has a emotional health effect, and it has a physical health effect. And at some point, people go, I'm not going to live this way anymore. That's why. The burnout, that feeling, it doesn't ever go away, and you feel like you're just hanging on, and the human spirit, while it is insatiable and unconquerable, it can be taxed, and it can be reduced. And these people are going, I'm not going to be conquered by this. I'm not going to live my life this way. No job, no paycheck is worth living this way. And let's also get real. You spend more time at work than you do anything else in your life, unless you're a total loser. And you just refuse to work and not do anything. But as an adult who's contributing to society and has responsibilities and has to work, This doesn't include my rich retired friends, but you spend more time at work than you do anything else in your life. It better matter, and it better be healthy. So burnout is the first reason. The second reason is I think there's a lot of people that are in that data that I talked about this morning on Fox and Friends, and I talk about every day on the show here. I think there's a lot of people in that regret column that felt like they had to take the better job. All right, so let me tell you who I'm talking about here. This is the demographic of people who they were sought after by recruiters or friends and family members said, hey, I got a connection over here at company XYZ. They're looking for people, and you should look into it. They go, okay, I'll look into it. And then they realize they get a job offer, and it's a really fat paycheck. It's a big paycheck difference. It's a promotion. Oh, boy, you want to feed the human ego, show them a promotion with a title. They can tell everybody, hey, they want me. It feels good to be wanted. By the way, I hope that that's not how you actually physically react when you get the offer, because I'm trying to be silly and stupid. But we stand up taller. We feel better about ourselves with a promotion. We feel we're desired, we're wanted. That's wonderful. But then the second thing is that paycheck. Well, that's a smart move. And so the converse, well, it'd be stupid. What kind of a moron am I if I turn down a promotion with a bigger paycheck? So I think a lot of people said, I feel like I have to say yes. And then they get there, and it's a job with no meaning. It's an unhealthy culture. Maybe it's not even in their sweet spot. And they go, what have I done? So there are three human needs. I don't want everybody to really lean in right now. If you're listening, watching, some of you are watching me and listening to me at work, you better pay close attention, because I'm going to give you a very simple description of the three needs that you must have met. Your leaders, your company must meet your needs. These are not demands. These are actual human needs. Here they are. Number one, every one of us, me included, needs to experience purpose in our work. We must do work that matters to us. That's the first human need. That's where significance. We long to make a significant contribution, all of us. That's where that comes to play. Number two human need. We want to be recognized for our unique contribution. We're still little boys and little girls who want our parents to notice us and say, I'm proud of you. Good job. And then the third human need that must be met by your leader in your company is that we want a relationship with our leader. Now, we don't have to be best friends. I would use this as this relationship needs to look like a coach or a mentor. But we crave a relationship with our leader. It is an extension of that second human need where we long to be acknowledged for our unique contribution, but it's because we long to belong to somebody in some group. And so we want a relationship with our leader where we feel like our leader cares for us. Our leader is helping us be our best so that we can be our best for the company, for the customer, and have a better life. So there you go, folks. Those are your three human needs. If they're not being met, when you start looking for something else, figure out if those needs are going to be met. That's how you know it's going to work. Coming up, Malcolm Gladwell's frustration with the remote workers.
So you just landed the new job. Congratulations. You've made it past the interviews, and now it's time to onboard with excellence. That's why I created How to Stand Out at Your New Job. This free checklist will help you succeed from day one and may even help you get promoted. These practical steps set you up to add value, help your team win, exceed your leader's expectations, and ultimately set you up for a successful transition. To get started, just go to kencoleman.com/new.
The Ramsey publicity team came up with this little moniker for me a couple years ago. It's helped me get national media hits. It feels weird when I hear it, certainly when I say it, but it's important to point out that I absolutely embody it. They call me America's career coach. That's up to you whether or not you think that or not, but I'm going to tell you what I am. I am a coach. And I just want to, for new viewers, we got new people coming in all the time, watching clips, watching the full show. And I just want you to know that this show is, at the end of the day, whether I am sharing an opinion on some data and relevant news to you, or whether you're hearing me coach a caller like we will a little bit later in the program, or I'm just in that opening teaching segment like I just laid my guts out, I'm here to coach you up, to push you, to instruct you, to hold you accountable, to love on you. And I also know that I'm limited in my ability to do this. And that's why we created our Ramsey Career Coaches. These are very, very successful coaches, and they are highly qualified outside of our organization, and they are partnering with me. I vetted them personally. I've talked to every one of them. So if you need to go to the next level in your professional life, I'm telling you, a coach is the person that will get you there. Any money you spend on it, you will absolutely get all of it back, 5X, 10X, but you got to do it. You got to do what they coach you to do. If you're interested, go to kencoleman.com/coaching. That's kencoleman.com/coaching. Okay, for those of you who don't know who Malcolm Gladwell is, I'll take 20 seconds on Malcolm Gladwell. I've got one of his books over my shoulder, one of my favorite books of all time, David and Goliath, where he takes the classic story from the Bible, which is also a historical story, and he breaks it down. It's fabulous. He's a author of Tipping Point, is another one of his wildly popular books. Blink. But I would say he's probably one of the most influential writers over the last 2 decades. I don't think that's an exaggeration. Certainly a thought leader, longtime writer for the New Yorker. So he's just a really smart guy. He's had tremendous impact. Well, he recently went on a podcast, and he was trending yesterday. Over the weekend, the podcast was Diary of a CEO, hosted by a guy named Stephen Bartlett. And so Malcolm has a small business, and you'll hear him refer to this in the clip we're about to show you. So I'm going to show you a small portion of what Malcolm said, and it went bananas. And I think in some ways he's right, and I have mad respect for Malcolm. Full disclosure, I've interviewed him 5 times. So I know him. He contributed to my first book, One Question. But in his frustration, you're going to see some viable frustration. But this is a clarion call. When we see Malcolm's frustration, leaders, you better pay attention. And I'm going to break down what he fails to say. And those of you who are in this situation where I only want to work remote and I feel like I'm stuck or I'm disconnected, there's some valuable stuff here. So let's start this, and I'm going to pause it maybe once or twice. But this is Malcolm Gladwell addressing this is the viral comments that he made about remote working. Let's roll this.
I've started this little company, this audio company with my friend Jacob Weisberg called Pushkin. It produces all of our podcasts and others. And, we've noticed that the people, like every small company, we have people who come and go. And the people who go are the ones who, this is an obvious observation, but it's an interesting one. The people who have tended to leave are the ones who are the most socially disconnected from the organization. So who came into the office the least, or who were based in another city and we hired them largely to do remote work, or they don't feel, it's very hard to feel necessary when you're physically disconnected. And, as we face the battle that all organizations.
All right. I wanted to pause there just a second ago to catch this. He's absolutely right. I completely agree with him that you cannot feel truly a part of something if you are involved from a distance or you are involved intermittently. Let's just keep it simple. Okay? You just can't. Whether that's going to a church or a social club, or you decide to join a workout class, you're never going to have true connection and get the most out of that group, that tribe, if you want to call it that, when you are intermittently involved, so you're not consistently engaged and involved, and you are long distance. I mean, we talk about long distance relationships, how difficult those are, and they can be successful. So again, I'm not going to speak in broad generalities that it can't work. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he's absolutely right on this part. And then now his frustration begins to grow here as he's kind of talking about, well, the people that have left us, it was for this reason. All right, so let's keep going.
Are facing now and getting people back into the office, that it's really hard to explain this core psychological truth, which is we want you to have a feeling of belonging and to feel necessary. We want you to join our team. And if you're not here, it's really hard to do that. It's not in your best interest to work at home. I know it's a hassle to come to the office, but if you're just sitting in your pajamas in your bedroom, is that the work life you want to live, right? Don't you want to feel part of something? I mean...
Okay, I'm going to pause. So the answer that he's asking is people do. So he's frustrated here, and he's asking this rhetorical question. The answer is even those very people that want to work from home, whether they're in their pajamas or not, they do want to be a part of something. But he's kind of getting frustrated, like, why don't you want to be a part? And I'm going to address it in a second, but I wanted to point out, even if they're not showing up and say they don't want to show up, it does not mean that they don't want to be a part of something. All right, let's keep going.
I'm really getting very frustrated with the inability of people in positions of leadership to explain this effectively to their employees. That if we don't feel like we're part of something important, what's the point? You're not just doing this to get a pay. If it's just a paycheck, then it's like, what have you reduced your life to?
Okay, so therein, you can see all of his frustration really kind of culminates in that moment. And keep in mind, he starts off talking about his own company and how they're struggling with this. And he says, I'm frustrated with leaders' inability to kind of explain this to people. But I think that's the wrong thing that leaders need to be trying to explain. I don't think his frustration ought to be with leaders in explaining to other humans that you were made to connect and that you are a relational creature first and foremost that longs to belong. I don't think you have to explain that to people. I really think they inherently know that. Here's what leaders have to do. And Malcolm in his own leadership of his company need to be addressing this. And Malcolm, I know this because I've interviewed him, but he comes from a Episcopalian, a priest family. Like there's a lot of Episcopalian priests in his family. Let me tell you this about church. Whether it be an Episcopal church, a Catholic church, a Baptist church, a Lutheran church, it doesn't matter. Here's what I know. Pastors don't spend their time trying to explain to people how important it is that they just come to church. Pastors have to feed the flock. They got to give people something that they want to eat. So people come to church, okay, because they think it's good for them. Not because you convinced them that they need to be a part of a bigger group. I mean, just being honest. If someone feels spiritually and emotionally like going to church and sitting in a church service is helping them get where they want to be spiritually or relationally, then they come to church. But you're not going to convince people to come to church just because, hey, I mean, what, you don't want to be spiritual? And that's essentially what my friend is saying. Well, wait a second. Leaders, it is incumbent on you to say, hey, this is the job we have. And this is what the job does. And this is the output of the job. And if that's something you want to do, if you connect to this kind of work, boy, I'll tell you, we want you in here. And here's what it's like to work in this building. This is what the relational component is like. This is how we as leaders treat you. And we're not going to offer remote, but when you're here, let me tell you something. You're going to feel better about the work you do and about yourself. You have to create an environment where they go, I want to work in that company because it gives me a better life. That's the frustration that needs to be dealt with.
Did you know that just like a product, you have a personal brand? It's the image or impression others form about you based on your interactions. And whether we realize it or not, our personal brand impacts opportunities to grow in our careers. That's why our team created the Personal Brand Survey. It's free, and it will give you personal and professional feedback so you can own your strengths and uncover any blind spots holding you back. To get started, go to kencoleman.com/brand.
right, folks, today's theme is about you, and your value. Do you feel valued in the workplace? Well, that's always at the top of my mind, but today we're really about ready to dive into two specific stories, two of the biggest brands in the world, Apple and McDonald's, and how they should value their people. So we'll get into that. Excuse me, folks. I got something in my throat. I wish you could hear how violent that cough was. I got this little mute button right here, so it blocks it out. I'm kind of tempted to do it on the mic, but it would throw Joe into a stroke-like set of symptoms. But I don't know what happened. I just got choked up all of a sudden. It's not emotion. But anyway, thanks for bearing with me. It is live, so that's just what happens. But one thing about the value of you, we want to share more stories. And I think it was last week I put this call out. We had several people respond. So I want to remind you, we want more of these type stories, and we're calling it Why I Left. So we want to hear your stories about why you left a company. And can I be very honest with you? At the risk of sounding like Jerry Springer and Dr. Phil, the more intense or ugly or gross or creepy or weird or funny your story is as to why you left your company, the better. And so here's two ways for you to submit the story. Then our team, Alex and the team, will be in touch. The email is ask@kencoleman.com, ask@kencoleman.com. And the phone number, you can leave a voicemail anytime of night, 844-747-2577, 844-747-2577. All right, so we'd love to hear from you on that. Why I left, just put that in the subject line or in the voicemail. Okay. Let's start with Apple. And I love Apple products. So this was tough, Alex. But I thought, I'm a man of the people, and I got to share this. Because a lot of stuff going behind the scenes. And we got a lot of big companies like Apple who love to pride themselves on being woke. Yeah, there it is. I went and said it, right? Trying to please everybody. Got to be woke. We got to virtue signal about all the political issues. Want to make all the loud people happy. But then what's going on behind the scenes? So reports have surfaced that Apple has actually acknowledged missteps, and I'll get to that in a second. A new report from Financial Times via the Business Insider, Apple has acknowledged missteps and says it will make changes after reports it mishandled 15 women's allegations of sexual abuse. In the women's cases, Apple's HR team did little or nothing to help. Known as the People Team, within the company, the department reportedly favored managers over employees, refusing to take action even when the women had hard proof of alleged sexual misconduct. In some cases, the complaints led to women leaving Apple, while others were offered lump financial sums to keep quiet and not speak badly of the company. Ooh. Okay. So this story comes out, and the reason I share this is because, again, we have all these big-time companies. We're talking trillion-dollar companies, trillions of dollars, billions of dollars, and they got the shiny sheen of the products. Like I said, they try to get active politically, and they try to get woke on big things, but the reality is they will protect almost at all costs the brand of the company and not value their people. And in today's world, in 2022, why in God's name is Apple trying to cover up sexual misconduct? In one case, a woman said a male colleague took her home after a casual worker's happy hour, and as she passed out, and I'll acknowledge, probably not a good idea to drink so much and then have a male coworker take you home. Speaking on behalf of all males can be jerks and creepy. And he undressed her and took pictures of her. In another case, a woman said she received constant sexual messages from a male colleague. Listen, that stuff has to be dealt with immediately and harshly. Not, let's try to pay you off or whatever. You can't be Apple and be woke, right? And then not take care of women in your office. You just can't do it. And it needs to be dealt with. No questions asked. We investigate it. When there's proof, it doesn't matter how it looks. Because here's the reality. What Apple should have done is dealt with this swiftly and harshly. And if word gets out that, hey, Apple dealt with this swiftly and harshly. And they got rid of the creeps that did things they shouldn't have done. Pretty simple. All right, next story. This is McDonald's. And a little bit of context for this before I share. A couple weeks ago, I feel like I shared a story on Howard Schultz, the longtime iconic CEO of Starbucks, has now recently come back after retirement. And he's dealing with, several stores are trying to unionize. And then he decided to shut some stores down. And some of the employees said, well, you're doing that because these are in areas where we were unionizing or thinking about it. He said, no, we don't want to operate stores in these places because they're not safe. And as a steward, as the CEO of the company, we have a responsibility to protect our employees. And by the way, I'm not getting in the middle of whether it's about unions or not. It's not. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you this. He's factually correct that it is a responsibility of a company to protect its employees. So you take retail outlets like Starbucks and take a McDonald's, and the city may be failing in its efforts to keep the neighborhood around the McDonald's safe, but that's still McDonald's responsibility, and it's Amazon or anybody. Starbucks, you pick it. Okay, Apple, it doesn't matter. You got to protect your employees. All right, so here's this story. And this is tragic. Okay? But I do believe McDonald's bears responsibility here. But there's also responsibility for humans doing really careless things, and this story is full of it. Here's the story. Matthew Webb, 23, of Queens, was shot just last week outside a McDonald's restaurant in Brooklyn. And the alleged gunman already faces charges of attempted murder and criminal possession of a weapon in relation to the shooting. So here's my point. This is a bad dude. And McDonald's can't control that guy's out on the streets. McDonald's can't control that guy walks into their store location. Well, this guy, the gunman, he was there with his mom. And so the dispute spilled out into the street. So again, why did Matthew Webb leave the store, the McDonald's store, and go out in the parking lot? We don't know. Should he have been trained better? Should there have been a manager and a leader that's paying attention to this and literally physically blocking Matthew from going out? There's a lot of things going on there. Should a policeman been called? Because here's what happened. The gunman, the 20-year-old gunman, already facing charges of attempted murder and criminal possession of a weapon, clearly has a gun with him. His girlfriend has a gun. And the mama didn't like the fact that she got cold fries. Now, let me just tell you, I love me some McDonald's fries. And if I got some cold fries, I'd be pissed as well. But it would stay there, and I would go ask to talk to the manager. I would just say, can I get some warm fries? Well, apparently she asked for a manager. The staff laughed at her, maybe insulted her. One thing led to another. We have no other details in this story other than that. But here's my point. When you are operating a store, leaders, or some extension of your company in a dangerous area, you have got responsibility to step up security or whatever else you're going to do. And so I only highlight the Apple story and the McDonald's story to say this whole great resignation that we talk about all the time on this show comes down to one thing. People don't feel valued. And the world has changed. Listen to me, leaders. Those of you that listen and watch this show, we ain't going back. People have said, I've had enough. Whether they're right or wrong, oversensitive or delusional, does not matter. There's enough people happening. They're going, I want to be valued. And their physical safety, whether it's sexual misconduct or violence, that's at the base of value. Companies better wake up. Got to protect your people in all areas.
If the thought of attending a networking event makes you break out in hives, you're not alone. And I'll let you in on a secret. Networking in the traditional sense doesn't work, but genuine connection is all about relationships. That's why we created Networking the Right Way. This free guide is the low-pressure, high-impact way to overcome the awkwardness, build real relationships, and turn your connections into opportunities. To get the guide, go to kencoleman.com/network.
Coaching you to get the competitive edge to make more income and make more impact. This is the Ken Coleman Show. I'm Ken. Let's go. We have people standing by. The phone number, if you want to jump in, 844-747-2577, 844-747-2577. Ashley joins us in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Ashley, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken, it's great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you, Ashley. What's up?
So I was just wondering how I can beat application burnout. I've been looking to take the next step in my career for a while now. So I've been doing my fair share of applying and submitting applications, and it's just sometimes it's hard to stay motivated.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, because you don't hear anything at all, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the deal. Kind of a simple fix here. I want you to dial back on the amount of applications you're submitting, and I want you to ramp up the amount of people you are meeting with and connecting with. Does that make sense?
Okay. Makes sense, yep.
Okay, so I don't know how long you've been listening and watching the show, but several years ago, I created a phrase that I used to say all the time. I haven't said, I'm dusting it off. It's perfect for this moment. Resumes without relationships are worthless.
Okay.
You are Exhibit A. You're firing off resumes. You're doing a good job. You're staying active. And all you hear every day is crickets. That's all you hear.
Yep.
So I wrote an entire book. It's on the shelf over my shoulder called The Proximity Principle, and it's about the art of connecting. And the proximity principle says in order to do what Ashley wants to do, she's got to be around people that are doing that work and in places where that work is happening. So it's a simple little formula. If I break the statement down into a formula, it says the right people plus the right places equals opportunity. Does that make sense to you, Ashley? Does that square with you? Or does that sound like a bunch of motivational gibberish?
No, definitely makes sense.
Abso-freaking-lutely it makes sense. So here's the deal. We want to start to shift our focus to who are the people I need to connect with in order to get those people to make a personal recommendation and an introduction. Keep in mind, those are two different things. We want real people to make introductions and recommendations for the jobs that we're looking for. So in effect, they are handing your resume to a real person. Because we live in a day where everybody, even the smallest of small businesses, are operating with some type of a software in many cases. Where you submit something online, you may get noticed, you may not. You're not going to stand out. But let me tell you what works and will always work no matter how much technology and how much social media crap and apps we have. Let me tell you what will never not work. Talking to somebody face to face, saying, hey, I want to do this kind of work, or I want to work for this company over here. Do you know anybody that works over at this company? And we just good old fashioned, there's an old silly game. I don't know when it originated. I don't know that anybody plays it anymore, but it's called 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. Silly game. You know the game.
I do. Yep.
Yeah, you take two actors. I throw two actors' names at you, and you got to see how quickly you can make a connection to Kevin Bacon, right? And so you go, okay, you have two actors. You go, okay, well, this actor acted in this movie with this person, and this person acted with Kevin Bacon. So boom, 2 degrees, right? And so this is the exercise. Because you're not getting noticed. So you're not, there's nothing wrong with you. And I want to encourage your heart because it is flat out discouraging to submit a bunch of resumes and never hear anything back.
Exactly.
I know it sucks. But here's the deal. You're just going about it the wrong way. Okay? Bad news is you're doing it the wrong way. Good news is you're doing it the wrong way. And so this is a function of changing our strategy. So I'm going to give you as my gift the #1 best-selling book, The Proximity Principle. I'm going to give it to you whatever format you want, ebook, audio, or hard copy. How's that sound?
That sounds great. Thank you so much.
Now listen, you better read it or listen to it because it's super simple, but it's going to help you identify the 5 people and the 5 places where you're going to get opportunities. And then people are going to call you and say, Ashley, we want to interview you. Hang on the line, Ashley. It's all about the proximity principle. This is the Ken Coleman Show.
Are you wondering if you should leave your current job or stay put? You're not alone. That's why we created the Should I Quit My Job quiz. In just 5 minutes or less, this quiz will help you determine if you're at the right company and if you're in the right role. If you need to make a move, you'll even get practical next steps to keep you moving forward. Listen, stuck is a choice, and life is too short not to do what you were created to do. To take the quiz, go to kencoleman.com/quiz.
Have you ever had a moment when you discover something brand new and the newness of it gives you a completely different perspective? Maybe it was a new hobby or moving to a new place, or maybe it was a new vacation spot. Well, this can happen for you at work. Well, those of you that feel like you're in a toxic environment or a dead-end environment, changing your work location, in other words, getting on a new bus, could change everything for you. My friends at ZipRecruiter can help you find that job. ZipRecruiter is a personal recruiter pitching your profile to employers and sending you jobs that match your skills and experience. With ZipRecruiter, that awesome job could be right around the corner. Check them out today at ZipRecruiter.com/Ken. ZipRecruiter.com/Ken. All right. Keisha is joining us in the beautiful city of Tampa, Florida. Keisha, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. Great to speak with you.
Great to speak with you. What's up?
So I have a question kind of about mindset. So I work in the mortgage industry as a mortgage loan processor, and I was really good at my job, like really good at it and really loved it. Like for most of the year, I was #1 on the team.
Nice.
As you know, the mortgage industry is taking a huge hit. The company I was working for, we had 3 layoffs this year, and the interest rates are still going to rise one more time this year, so they're expected to have another one. I survived the first 2 layoffs, and that's because I was #1 on the team.
Yeah.
The third one, the one that just happened on Friday, I did not survive.
Oh, Keisha,
So I
I'm
was
sorry.
laid off on Friday. Thank you.
That
And it
stinks.
hurt.
Yeah, it does.
Especially because I ended the month of July at 100.99% of the company's goal. So, that to tell you, I was performing really hard.
Of course.
And so what I'm struggling with now is just kind of mindset going back into the job searching, because I had been with the company for a little bit. And I don't know, I'm just kind of, obviously I'm not going to pursue the mortgage industry right now because all positions of it are taking a hit right now.
Sure.
I am a licensed insurance agent. I've never let my license expire. It's that's what most of my background is in insurance. So I don't mind going back, but the positions I would be going back to would be like sales, and I don't feel like I'd get the same pay range.
Okay, so let's go through a couple things then. So what were you making?
I was making base plus my commissions, probably close to 65, almost 70.
Okay, so let's round up. Let's say our target is 70. We want to replace 70. Did you get a severance of any type?
Only 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and they did it by Zoom call, which really hurt. I knew that was going to happen from the other 2 layoffs that took place, and I just speaking to
you didn't dip. Your results didn't dip. You were still crushing it. They're just freaking out. They're just cutting in advance, right? They're just kind of going, well, it definitely is slowed. So we're going to lower expenses, and we're just going to be preemptive.
Yeah, my entire department was let go. The third one was all of us. There was only a few of us remaining.
And they did it via Zoom?
Yeah.
What's the name of this company? Are you comfortable telling me? If
in
you're
case
not,
I do,
if you're not,
in case
don't
I do
worry
get
about
invited back, no.
Okay, good. All right.
But
I
is
understand.
a big mortgage company. It's not like a small mom and pop. Like, no, it's a big one in there.
Keisha, I'm sorry. I want to focus on you. I just had this momentary moment of like what I'm going to call professional broadcasting rage. Like, people are laying people off via Zoom. That is not okay. Leaders, golly. Number one performer laid off with her whole department via Zoom. All right. So we got to replace 70,000. Okay, first exercise. Okay. Let's just assume that you and I are at your kitchen table. All right. You're moving around like crazy. So can you hold still? Because I'm hearing the phone move around. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what I want you to tell me. It doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to lay out your homework exercise, but I'm going to get you started by walking you through it. All right.
Okay.
Number one, what were the skills? You were really good at it. What would you say are the top 2, 3, 5 skills that made you the number one performer?
Time management. They didn't micromanage us, and we're completely remote. So a lot of people were very lax because they are home and they just knew they had to hit the minimum. I didn't take my foot off the brakes. Like I'm like off the wheel. Time management was strong.
Okay. What else?
Organization.
Yep.
They didn't provide us many charts or ways to organize our pipeline. I created my own.
Awesome.
And then also I was hungry. Like if I didn't have the answers, because I was fairly new to the industry, I would go to the other departments and find out there. So I knew my role plus everyone else's role, basically.
Give me a couple things, maybe in the people skills area. What would you say your top
we're
people
talking
skills?
To borrowers. So the loan officers, they sell the plan, they sell the refinance, they sell the numbers, but people get cold feet. I have to basically resell it, and I may be reselling it 5 times before closing.
I love it. All right, now we're going to flip it. What did you love most about it? What was the part of the work that you said, Ken, this gave me the juice?
Well, I come from sales, so I was still talking to borrowers, but it wasn't a high pressure sales. It was just fine tuning. I loved that it was all my strengths because I got a chance to talk to people, but our position, how do you say?
Would you say you were more of a consultant than a salesperson?
Yes.
Yeah, and you like that. Instead of high pressure, you like the relational, kind of the guide. You were a guide. Is that true?
And I love the numbers. I love being able to, because we got bonuses, and it was based on, and our numbers were very transparent, so we always knew who was what.
So you like achieving. You like a scoreboard. You love a scoreboard. Yeah. Okay, I'm really drawing a clear picture here. You see where we're going? You see what I'm doing? I'm creating a job description for you that has nothing to do with the mortgage industry. Because as you begin to look, you got to go, wait a second. What skills am I bringing to a company, into a job that I know I am a rock star? I was number one. What were those skills? I'm really good at, and you and I went through the list, and I'll just give it to you real quick. Time management, organization. You're hungry. You got communication skills. You're good at listening, good at connecting to people. The part you love most was the relational interaction with the customer and taking on the role of guide or consultant. And then you really love being in a job where you get to throw results up on the scoreboard and you see what everybody else is doing. You like to compete, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. This is great. Okay. So what we've done here is we've created a high-level job description. So you're out there looking at jobs, whether it's insurance or banking. We know it's not going to be mortgage, whatever it is. It doesn't even matter. You might do very well in some type of management role or project management, as long as you are using those top skills of being very organized with your time and with your processes, and you are communicating and connecting, customer-facing, people facing. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we know that you got to be doing that work as well, right? 75% of your day better be facing a customer or an employee, a teammate, and you are connecting with them, and you are taking those talents of organization, time management, connecting with others. You might be a tremendous leader. You might do well in project management. Project management is a very versatile position, which could set you up to move up the ladder to C-suite, down the road. I mean, my point is the world is your oyster, and I want you looking at what's out there based on this. Here's the other thing. Have you taken my Get Clear career assessment?
No, I have not.
I'm going to give it to you. Will you take it?
Yes, of course.
Great. It's a 20-minute assessment. It's going to give you a full report on talent, what you do best, passion, work that you love, and then mission, results that matter deeply to you. It's going to fill out a purpose statement, going to make some suggestions, but it's going to really come on top of what you and I have already done, okay? So hang on the line. I'm going to give you a code and a link to take that. The rest of you can get it at kencoleman.com. It's going bananas. Let me tell you what that assessment is. The Get Clear assessment is a compass, and that it helps you see direction, and then it becomes a filter for any opportunities that you consider, and Keisha's going to really help you. But hey, the best is yet to be, Keisha. You have something special to offer, and you are not pinned into one industry. You matter. You have what it takes. Press on.
Thanks for listening to The Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.